Honorable members, I assume that we are ready to begin. As many? The chair recognizes the honorable member for Southern Shores.
Good afternoon, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Good to be here again. I rise on behalf of the wonderful people of the great constituency of Southern Shores to lend my support to this budget debate 2022-2023. Sorry, 2023-2024. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I personally want to thank my constituents again for giving me this great privilege to be their voice in this honorable house. Mr. Deputy, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. Mr. Deputy, I stand here today not on my own strength, but on the strength of the good mercies of the Lord. The Bible tells us in Psalm 125, they that trust in the Lord shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever. As the mountains are around Jerusalem, so is the Lord around about his people from henceforth forevermore. I must give him thanks and give him praise, and I must be mindful that because of him that I am alive today, I can move and I exist. Mr. Deputy Speaker, with your leave, I would like to take a few minutes to update my constituents on some communities undertaking. There have been a lot of missing lighting fixtures throughout Southern Shores constituency, such as Oxford Avenue, Cowpen Road, Marshall Road South, Rocky Pine Road, Flamingo Gardens, and Sunset Park. As of today, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the lighting fixtures have been installed. Yes. The lights are on, yes, and the people are happy. I wish to thank the minister responsible for works for a job well done. We still have 1 or 2 more areas in Flamingo Gardens and Sunset Park that need to be addressed. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have an ongoing derelict vehicle removal program in Southern Shores that is taking place. So far, we have removed over 300 vehicles from the Southern Shores constituency. I ask that my constituents, if you have any derelict vehicle that need to be removed, now if you have it, not your neighbor, if you have it, we ask that you please text 465-4965 and we will have it removed. Mr. Deputy Speaker, also in Southern Shores, there are some areas that are prone to flooding. Areas such as Caribbean Close, Butler's Way, Hebron Estate, Misty Close, and a number of streets off Marshall Road South. I'm asking the minister responsible for works to please let's solve this vexing problem by installing drainage systems in these communities. Also, matter of fact, we are now in the hurricane season, Madam Speaker, and we trust that this situation be solved. I'm asking the minister responsible for works to please look into this matter. Also, there are a number of roads that need to be repaved in Southern Shores. Roads like Misty Gardens entrance. That's where I live, Mr. Deputy Speaker. The road needs to be fixed. We always have a flooding in the area. And it looks bad to know that I live there and I can't get it fixed. That road needs to be fixed. All right. Also, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we talking about I get Marshall Road. Misty Close. We have Misty Close. We have West Avenue, London Avenue, also Carolina Estate, Ford Close, Robinson Close, and Sunset Park. I ask that urgent attention be given to these areas. Madam Speaker, sorry, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Just stay focused, man. Madam Deputy Speaker, there have been a breach. There have been a breach, right, in the seawall on Marshall Road. I ask that this matter be addressed as soon as possible because we are now in the hurricane season. During Hurricane Matthew, the Marshall Road, Misty Gardens community were under 4 to 5 feet of water. And we wish not for that to happen again. So I'm asking that urgent matter be, I say 4 to 5. I ask that urgent matter, I ask that this matter be addressed urgently. Also, Mr. Deputy Speaker, plans are now on the way to create a farmer's market and a fish and farm store on Carpen Road. This is good news to the community, and it is also good news to the farmers. The Carpen Road area is known as the agriculture belt in New Providence, and so it only makes sense to move the agriculture input supplies, like the feed, the fertilizers, the pesticides, the irrigation, and livestock feed closer to the farmers and their farms. Those vendors who are now operating on the side of the street on Carpen Road will be asked to take up residence in the new farmers market. Mr. Deputy Speaker, for the next few months, we will begin our park renovations and restoration project in Southern Shores. We have about 9 parks and playgrounds throughout Southern Shores constituency. Many of them in need of repair. We will partner with corporate sponsors within the Southern Shores community and Parks and Beaches Authority to assist in transforming our parks and playground into a safe, friendly, family-oriented environment. Mr. Deputy Speaker, on June 17th, that's this coming Saturday, we will be hosting our Father's Day event. Come hang with your pa. This event will be held.
Come hang with your pa.
This event will be held at our constituency office between the hours of 1 to 6 p.m. This event is about the best of the best in dominoes, checkers, backgammon, and Connect Four. We ask for all fathers, and we also have a father, son, or daughter lookalike contest. We ask all prizes will be cash. All prizes will be cash for the first, second, and third place winners. We ask that all fathers come out and enjoy this event with your sons and with your daughters for about 3 to 4 hours.
Restoring families.
Yeah, man, that's what it's all about.
Restoring families.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this year we will continue our summer workshop for our little darlings in Southern Shores. Last year, we had over 100 children enrolled in our summer workshop. Like last year, they will learn how to make bracelets and necklaces out of conch shells and coconut shells. They also will learn how to make soap, candle, and various souvenirs. Application will be distributed throughout Southern Shores constituency this week. Mr. Deputy Speaker, on July 29th, we will be hosting a Jubilee dinner for our stalwarts and precious gem in the Southern Shores constituency. This event promised to be a night of excitement, full of fun, laughter, and surprise. Transportation will be provided for those in need. We are asking all stalwarts and gems, 70 and over, to come out and let's have fun. 70, man. 70.
Jesus.
All right? To come out and let's have fun.
What time?
No. The Jubilee dinner will be held at the PLP headquarters, Farrington Road, at 7 p.m. Finally, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this summer, Southern Shores will also be hosting a trade fair dubbed Trade on the Block. This trade fair is geared to reach our young men and women who have suffered an educational setback. This fair is designed to encourage them to enroll in BTBI to learn a trade to better themselves. This trade fair will be held at my constituency office on August 5th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I now draw your attention to the budget at hand. This budget, the 2023-2024 budget, is all about security and progress. Any citizen in any country wants its government to do primarily two things for them. First, to ensure that they are safe and secure in the country they live in. Secondly, to ensure that they progress in the country in which they live. This is what this budget is all about. It is all about advancing the lives of Bahamians in a safe and a secure country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, that is why this government is investing millions of dollars to purchase 4 new Defense Force vessels to secure our borders and secure our people. That is why, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this government made provision to recruit hundreds of new Defense Force officers and immigration officers to ensure that our country is safe and secure. That is why, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this government is investing in recruiting hundreds of police officers and purchasing new police vehicles to carry out saturation patrol in crime-ridden areas. This budget, Madam Speaker, is all about the people. That is why this government increased local government budget by 10%, and we heard it this morning. This government, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the government is allocating to build new hospitals, have made allocations to build new hospitals and upgrade clinics. That is why, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this government has increased funding for domestic violence victims. Also, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this government has made provision to increase social service benefit to support those most vulnerable. And to our children out there, this government is thinking about you. This government has made provision to ensure that you get a hot breakfast every morning before your class begins. That is what this government is doing for you. Also, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this government is also put in consideration the independent schools and all children's homes. This government is looking out for them. This government has increased allocation for them by 20% to help them. That is what I call a budget for the people. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this budget will serve as a testament that this government, the Davis administration, is committed towards the common good for all Bahamians, and it will reflect the highest ideal of governance, transparency, and accountability. Mr. Deputy Speaker, not only was this budget crafted to ensure that our people are safe and secure in this country, but it was also crafted, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to ensure that our people progress in this country. Mr. Deputy, our country is progressing under the leadership of the Honorable Philip Ray Davis. And everybody could feel the wave. In spite of the naysayers, the railers, our leader is purpose-driven, focused, and determined to continue to carry our country forward. That's right. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I am grateful to our Prime Minister for the opportunity to serve as Executive Chairman of the Bahamas Agricultural and Industrial Corporation. I am also thankful to be working with such a fine, supportive minister, the Honorable Clay Glenford Sweeting. Mr. Deputy, Mr. Deputy, I am also delighted to be leading a group of hardworking, progressive board of directors and employees who are determined to make life better for as many Bahamians as possible. BAIC It's a place of empowerment. And it was established to expand and create opportunities for Bahamians to participate in the economic development of their country. The impact of BAIC is being felt nationwide, as thousands of Bahamians have benefited from BAIC training, mentorship, land leases, business plan development, practical assistance in handicraft, manufacturing, and food processing. Mr. Deputy Speaker, BAIC is pleased to continue to complement the Ministry of Agriculture, Marine Resources, and Family Island Affairs by assisting Bahamians through farming, fishing, light manufacturing, and engaging in any other activities designed to promote the agriculture, commercial, and industrial development in the Bahamas. BAIC is involved in a number of projects and initiatives that will give farmers, processors, artisans, and entrepreneurs a golden opportunity to empower themselves. Some of these projects and initiatives are the Golden Yoke Project, the Agriculture Production Zone Project, the Golden Opportunity Land Lease Program, the Abaco Industrial Park Development Project, Taste and Tell Processing Event, and Smell and Tell Trade Show. Mr. Deputy Speaker. Yeah, I could get that right down here. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Davis administration believes in economic empowerment for all Bahamians. This administration believes that all Bahamians should flourish, excel, and progress in their country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we believe in diversification. We believe that our country's product needs to be diversified, and agriculture transformation is the key to its success. One of the fastest ways to decrease poverty in any country is through agriculture. One of the fastest ways to transfer wealth is through agriculture. One of the fastest ways to create jobs is through agriculture. And one of the fastest ways to diversify our economy is through agriculture. Mr. Deputy Speaker, agriculture is the way to go. Bang on the desk, bang on the desk. Bang on the desk, bang on the desk, bang on the desk. Bang on, you was the former minister, now bang on the desk. Bang on the desk, bang on the desk, bang on the desk. All right. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Minister Sweeting and his team are determined to take agriculture to a new level. Many jobs can be created in the sector. Jobs like agriculture consultants, agriculture scientists, marine scientists, agronomists, animal nutritionists, biosecurity officers, environmental engineers, sustainability consultants, veterinary surgeons, and so much more could be created from this sector. That is why the Davis administration is investing millions in agriculture, investing millions in our farmers, and investing millions in food security to ensure that our country decrease the dependency of foreign imports. Yeah. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we are in the festive mode to celebrate our Golden Jubilee. I ask that Bahamians, farmers, processors, artisans, entrepreneurs, take advantage of the golden opportunity afforded to them through BAIC. Mr. Deputy Speaker, golden opportunity number one. You have heard a lot about the Golden Yoke Project. This project is designed to create generational wealth. I can say that again. This project is designed to create generational wealth. On February 27, BAIC, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, Marine Resources, and Family Island Affairs, has launched the Golden Yoke Project. This project is a game changer for our poultry farmers and is geared towards making the Bahamas self-sustainable in egg production. BAIC has been given the mandate to manage this project through the establishment of a special purpose vehicle. The special purpose vehicle will solicit contract farmers, women, men, youth, and even the disabled, who will care for the layers and harvest the eggs. That's all we ask. That's all we ask. The SPV will be responsible for providing the chicken, providing the house, providing the feed. Man, stay focused. Providing the feed and providing the veterinarian service at a cost, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This project will affect every island, every settlement, Marco C., every person in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Marco, we're going to make it, son. And our government is doing that. This government has invested more than $15 million towards this project that will see the construction of a new state-of-the-art feed mill, along with 7 grow houses in New Providence and 38 grow houses in New Providence and the Family Islands, including Grand Bahama. Zero in on Marco City. Abaco, Bimini, the Berry Islands, Eleuthera, Exuma, Cat Island, San Salvador, Long Island, Rugged Island, and Inagua. Under street. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is anticipated that over 13 million eggs annually will come from the Family Islands. That will provide, and we will provide technical support to ensure that this happens. Mr. Deputy Speaker, BAIC's mandate has always been to empower Bahamians through the Golden Yoke Project, and this we will achieve. One of the greatest benefits of this project, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is that it is all Bahamian from start to end. Bahamians will control the production. Bahamians will control the price. Bahamians will control the market. This is what I call economic empowerment. I see the side officer is not banging on the desk. They don't believe in economic empowerment. Amen. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the golden opportunity, number 2. This opportunity is for our livestock farmers. The Davis administration have invested in a brand new state-of-the-art feed mill. This mill, Mr. Deputy Speaker, has already been built, already been paid for. And about 2 to 3 weeks, the mill will be shipped to the Bahamas. The building of the house of this mill is a state-of-the-art building. Plans are now at the Ministry of Works for approval, and once approved, the construction will begin. All stipulations and qualifications is on the government portal. I want to pause here a second, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Is that the livestock farmers are crying out because of this same situation. They cannot depend on the feed mill. They cannot depend on livestock feed. But I want to tell them that this is good news for them. This is good news for them. Because the mill that we purchased, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is a semi-automatic feed mill with double weighing system made in India by the company Care. It could run for 21 uninterrupted hours and could make 50 tons per day of mash feed, 25 to 30 tons of crumble and pellets. And those of you who want to grow tilapia, who want to farm tilapia, this could make 16 tons per hour in fish food. This is a good mill. And our farmers are going to be happy. They're going to be excited because now this government have helped them. We are asking all livestock farmers. We are asking all livestock farmers to prepare themselves. Increase your inventory. Increase your inventory because we are putting a regime in place to ensure that your product is market. I also want to take opinion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that we talk about BAIC as a place of opportunity. But the sad thing about it, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is that the livestock industry need to be built. We have customers coming to BAIC inquiring of land for livestock. There's a gentleman came to BAIC and he have a contract. Have a contract with Walmart for sheep down. Sheep down. And he can't find no sheep down in Nassau. Because the bottom line is that no farmer is going to kill one sheep or a sheep just for the tongue. And so we need to put a regime in place to ensure if we're going to help and assist. We got to look at the whole scenario because right now he is importing his sheep down from Australia. And that's a sad commentary. Long Island one time ago they used to call them the sheep runners. Yeah, because they okay, all right. Yeah, so we have to look at the industry because I believe it could be a very lucrative industry, and everybody could benefit from it. But it have to be where we as individuals, we as behemoths, we totally support one another. Yeah. Mr. Deputy Speaker, golden opportunity number 3. Golden opportunity number 3. In an effort to stimulate, facilitate, and to encourage the development of agriculture, light manufacturing, and touristic development, BAIC, over the past several months, has embarked upon a golden opportunity land lease. This program is concentrated on land available for lease in Abaco and Eleuthera. BAIC holds one of the largest land portfolio in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, with land to lease, especially in Abaco and in Eleuthera. The focus of this campaign was to attract Bahamians who are interested in financing their dreams to operate farm projects, touristic developments like Airbnb and light manufacturing business. The Golden Opportunity Land Lease Program was promoted via radio ads on ZNS, Love 97, Guardian Radio, 100 Jams, and on our social media platform. The program was led by our property department, assisted by BAIC's corporate communication department, the Ministry of Agriculture, Marine Resources, and Family Island Affairs communication department, and graphic consultant K Marketing Company. The property department was given a mandate by the board of directors to attract a minimum of 40 applications per month. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I am happy to report that the property department surpassed the mandate quota as interested Bahamians looking for property for farming, to establish touristic projects and manufacturing enterprises was overwhelming. Mr. Deputy Speaker, during the land lease promotion, some 144 applications were received, 71 in Abaco, 56 in Eleuthera, 28 for Gladstone Road property, and 7 in Andros. 6, being on the land in Andros, we getting some, all right? And 6 in Soldier Road property. In Eleuthera, 32 applications were received for touristic development. Eleuthera is growing, Eleuthera is booming, and Eleuthera is going to be transformed. 19 applications form came in for farming projects. 58 out of 71 applications for land lease in Abaco was for farming purposes. I like that, Madam Speaker, because our people are catching the spirit that they once lost. Mr. Deputy Speaker, our people are catching the spirit they once lost. Mr. Deputy Speaker, BAIC is requesting additional land. We get more people requesting land that they can embrace this golden opportunity. We have requested land in Long Island, Kidd Island, Maguana, and Grand Bahama. Mr. Deputy Speaker, golden opportunity number 4. BAIC is on a quest to make a difference to empower Bahamians, to empower our people. This opportunity is for every processor out there. Those who don't want to go in the ground, but those who want to make product from agriculture. Mr. Deputy Speaker, BAIC hosted a second Taste and Tell event. Last year was our first. This year was our second. During our first Taste and Tell, Mr. Deputy Speaker, some 30 vendors signed up. This year, Mr. Deputy Speaker, 51 signed up and 51 showed out. Mr. Deputy Speaker, our people in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas are very talented. It is a crying shame that so many other products are on the shelves of this country. It is time now that our Bahamian people, their products, hit the shelves in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And we want to continue, Mr. Deputy Speaker, not only with our Taste and Tell, but, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have another tell series called Smell and Tell. This where our artisans, our processors, they make perfumes and fragrances and they call them incense. And I was so amazed to see how talented our people are. And I want to encourage them to continue to tap into BAIC because we are going to help you. We are going to market your product and we are going to ensure that we're going to ensure that your business excels in this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, golden opportunity number 5. BAIC have a number of ongoing workshops. And this I want to speak to every person. Those that are in school, the youth, those who are retired. I encourage them to come to the BAIC workshop. We have a number of workshops. Whether you want to make soap or lotion, whether you want to make jewelry, or whether you want to make souvenirs from sand or from glass, or fish scale, we invite you to come. I have seen some products that our people created. And I want to tell you this, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is better than the product that you buy from China. We get some good artisans in this country. And so I want to encourage our people to come out, come to BAIC, tap into the source, accept that golden opportunity, because it could only better you and make your life better. Mr. Deputy Speaker, just a few weeks ago, BAIC had a workshop in perfume making. Perfume making. As a matter of fact, it was free. Some 40 persons showed up. And it was amazing of the fragrance that our people created. Mr. Deputy Speaker, our southern islands, oh my God, have a bar called the Castorilla bark. The Castorilla bark. They said the oil from the Castorilla bark is so potent. As a matter of fact, it is desired all over the world, especially in France. What our people do now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is that they go out and they break the bark. Soak it, break the bark, pocket the bark, and they send it off, the bark. The bark only costs, I forget how much it costs, a couple of dollars. But the oil costs 3 times as much. 3 or 4 times as much. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is an opportunity.
for our people to take advantage of not only the bark, but they could take advantage of producing the oil. And not only producing the oil, Mr. Deputy Speaker, they could make their own fragrance. That is what BAIC is offering. You go downtown, a bunch of fragrance stores, John Bull and this store, that store, all the time. But not one fragrance is from the Bahamas. And you have tourists coming from all over the world going to their stores. But it got to be changed. When they come to the Bahamas, they need to come and carry the scent of the Bahamas. It got to make a difference. We got to make a difference. And we got to take advantage of the opportunity that is set before us. And so I urge, we're going to have another workshop. And it's going to go out. And this time, we're going to create some fragrance from this country like never yet before. As a matter of fact, I'm going to call one AWOL Major. That's Leroy Major, a friend. As a matter of fact, the scent has already been created, all by myself. And the only thing you need to do is mass produce and market it.
You wearing it now?
And so, no, I ain't wearing it now, sir. AWOL Major. And so we want to ask, and we want to encourage our people. We want to encourage our people to take advantage of these opportunities. I truly want to say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the Bahamas have a lot to offer. We get creative people. We have people that are fighters, care for their country. This past weekend, I was invited to go to the Miami Gombe Festival in Coconut Grove. First time ever. But my heart was shocked to see the number of Bahamians that is taking over Coconut Grove. As we drove through the neighborhood, Bahamian flags, Mr. Deputy Speaker, hanging all through, proud of their country, and making waves in America, and representing the Bahamas well. I want to salute those in Coconut Grove. You touched me this weekend. But I want to tell you that BAIC will be here in the Bahamas, and products from the Bahamas will be going to Coconut Grove, because when I was there, they was asking for our seasoning. They were asking for stuff from the Bahamas. But we got to get there. We got to get there. The whole market, we have to get there. And so we're going to source that. And we're going to look into it and see how best we can get our products to our people in America. Other countries are doing it. Why we can't? We are the Bahamas. The Bahamas, the name itself sells. We need to produce more in this country. We need to export more in this country. Someone came to my office the other day and they say, listen, you got to understand the area where God put us. We are the back door of the Caribbean and the front door of America. When America opened their back door, they see the Bahamas. When the Caribbean opened their door, they see the Bahamas. Why we cannot produce? Why we cannot export? Why everything we consume in this country got to come from a foreign country? And millions of people coming here because of the name Bahamas. It is my vision, Mr. Deputy Speaker, before I take my seat. As a preacher, we said it 3 times.
The next 5 minutes. The next 5 minutes. Preacher 5 minutes.
We must be the one. We will be the one to make a difference. This Davis administration government will be the face to make that difference. And everybody going to see it. Everybody going to know it. And everybody going to get a taste of the Bahamas. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Southern Shores have no difficulty in supporting this budget because we call it the people's budget. It's all about the people, making their life better, ensuring that they are secure, safe, and progress in this country. That is what this budget is all about. Before I take my seat, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this budget is all about empowerment. I asked my leader, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis. I asked my minister, the Honorable Clay Glenford Sweden. Stay focused. Stay focused. Remain steadfast. More are with you than against you. So let us in this honorable place please God and please his people. Before I take my seat. May God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And may God grant Southern Shores a special blessing. Southern Shores, rest.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Okay. As many, the chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Golden Gates.
I'm as creative as Southern Shores yet, monsieur. We're getting there. We're getting there. Thank you so much. Yeah, P&P. That's what mine will be. P&P. I'm telling you. Thank you, Mr. Deputy. So, Deputy, of course, I rise and give first and foremost honor and glory to Almighty God, who I am grateful to always for the opportunity to stand here in this honorable place to represent the greatest constituency in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the constituency of Golden Gates, and the great people of the constituency of Golden Gates. The Lord is my strength, and he is my shield. And I trust him. I give him honor and glory, and I will always sing his praises here in this place. I want to start by giving commendation to our Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister, I've watched him, especially in the last few weeks. We've had visits from Caribbean leaders. We had a visit from the United States Vice President. And his relationship he has with the international and regional community is one that is admirable. He is respected. He is revered. And Mr. Deputy, that is the product of being able to personally know these people through the travel that they say, you know, he's doing. But he's forging and building relationships. And as a country, a small island developing nation like ours, international relationships are critical. He's mending, he has mended, and has made great relations around the world. And I must commend him for an exemplary visit. He led with the Vice President of the United States here, and he has to be commended for the stellar leadership that he is displaying. The region is proud. The Bahamas is proud. We are proud. I also want to commend my friend and colleague, the Honorable Member for Seabreeze, who continues to host as the leader, along with the Permanent Secretary and the members of the Independent Secretariat, stellar events in celebration of our 50th anniversary of independence. This is the way that a 50th anniversary is done. And I know that it is only going to get better as we come closer to the date. So I want to commend her this weekend. There was an absolute wonderful display of Bahamian creative talent in a culture and couture runway show. And yesterday, hundreds of women descended on the Bahama Resort to have tea together and ensure that we are celebrating in style women from across the divide. And I wanted to just give a special commendation to Her Excellency on leading those great events.
Women in leadership. Women in leadership.
Mr. Deputy, I stand grateful again to God for what was my second national budget debate. Every government is defined by the decisions it makes, the policies it places at the forefront of its agenda, and the impact it has on the key areas of national development. I think we can all agree that national security, economic security, and social security are three areas of critical importance to any nation. This budget moves us forward, building on previous successes as we secure this nation for greater prosperity. Security, Mr. Deputy, represents safety, a sense of comfort, and a feeling of being protected. That is what we are striving to achieve with this budget. The budget for security and progress, hashtag just results, hashtag it's about the people, will build a foundation on these three pillars as we construct a safe, prosperous, and fair society for all Bahamians. Beginning in September of 2021, as soon as we got in office, Mr. Deputy, we reopened the economy, kept evidence-based restrictions in place, and we distributed free testing and medical-grade masks as part of our detect and protect strategy. Our plans worked, Mr. Deputy. We had the vision to see what our predecessors couldn't. So here we are today with a booming economy, record tourism numbers, and record levels of investments coming in, not just in Nassau, but throughout Family Islands like San Salvador, Exuma, Long Island, Grand Bahama, Cat Island. Unemployment is back down to pre-pandemic levels after rising higher than ever in our history as an independent nation. The decisive actions taken by the Davis administration has allowed the economy to bounce back in less than 2 years. We inherited an historically bad economy and an historically high national debt, with a debt to GDP ratio reaching over 100% at one point. We inherited a country reeling from record levels of joblessness and food insecurity. I think I'm speaking for most Bahamians when I say we never thought we'd see people in this country waiting on lines for basic necessities like food, clothing, and hygiene products. But this was a part of an unprecedented and eye-opening experience. The experience is not a representation of the Bahamas we know and love. It's not an image of the Bahamas we are aspiring to be, and the Bahamian people were desperate to see real change. The good news, Mr. Deputy, is that we are turning the situation around. Despite the multiple crises we inherited, our policies have successfully begun to turn the situation around for the better, and we're now bracing for a record-setting year. Mr. Deputy, we did it all by investing in the people. When the people are healthy and thriving, the economy will follow suit. Mr. Deputy, in our first 20 months as a government, after reopening the economy, we strengthened our overburdened healthcare system by upgrading numerous clinics and hired dozens of doctors, nurses, and other support staff. We increased nurses' salaries and benefits and improved several wards in PMH. Yes. We addressed challenges in education by hiring over 200 teachers while increasing salaries and benefit packages. Yes. Yes. Mr. Deputy, we got those that dropped out of school during the pandemic back in the classroom by the hundreds, and we're now getting them caught up through our learning loss interventions, ably led by my honorable colleagues from Engliston and Yamacraw. Yes, yes, yes. For those who would have graduated or were near graduation, the Smart Start program is providing them with support in entering the job market. We're not letting anyone fall by the wayside. Speaking of jobs, many people are receiving hands-on experience and training through the PSPEP program launched in our first year. This included the first ever cohort of differently abled people who are currently working with private sector partners, receiving salaries, gaining experience, being respected, included, and treated with the dignity they deserve. No one's falling through the crack on our watch, Mr. Deputy. We said we would build a Bahamas that is better for all Bahamians. Inclusivity is a core value of the Progressive Liberal Party. And Mr. Deputy, led by the member for Elizabeth, we expedited the rebuilding of infrastructure and home repairs on hurricane-impacted islands, and we launched affordable housing programs throughout the nation. We lowered customs duties on healthy foods, and now, led by the member for Central and South Eleuthera, Mr. Just Results, we're investing many millions of dollars into food security. Through agricultural initiatives, beginning with the stellar Golden Yoke Project. And I'm sorry for harassing you, Minister Central and South Eleuthera, but thank you for the upcoming much-needed upgrade to the Blue Hill Roads Farmers Market, AKA the Golden Gates Fish Market. Thank you. Teamwork makes the dream work. Mr. Deputy, we're supporting businesses to the tune of $50 million in funding per year and facilitating greater trade through the first ever national trade policy. We're redeveloping airports, paving roads throughout the Family Islands, and we have created the Family Island Development Fund to ensure that Family Island development will always be prioritized. As the member for Central and South said, that's the benefit of having a PM and a DPM who are Family Island men and a minister. No, he won't. Many of the Family Islands in the southern Bahamas will be solarized for sustainable, cheaper electricity during this fiscal year. These are infrastructure products, but at their very core, Mr. Deputy, having more job-creating investments with the infrastructure to support them, and having more visitors bring money into our Family Island economies, and having cheaper electricity bills at their core, Mr. Deputy, is about uplifting and empowering people. These are real paradigm-shifting policies. During our first 20 months, the Labor Relations Unit of my ministry worked diligently from day one, and as a result, we've signed 18 union agreements. The Labor Relations Unit of my ministry has worked diligently from day one, and as a result, we've successfully signed 18 union agreements after years of stagnancy and bad relations under previous administration. So that's about one agreement per month. And in each one of those agreements, our people, the nurses, the teachers, police officers, clerical staff, all the people who make our country tick, received higher pay, better insurance packages, and improved benefits. We've decreased the promotions backlog, and we initiated a digitization process for document management to speed up public service operations. We increased public servant pensions and increased salaries for thousands of public servants. And the money that they've received is what is going into the economy, Mr. Deputy. So when was the last time public servants can remember getting multiple increments in a single year? I know when it was. Under the last PLP administration. Mr. Deputy, I can fill my contribution with a list of all the things we've done in the first 20 months. But there can be no denying that we've already surpassed the Minister administration in moving the nation forward, because unlike them, we never lost focus on producing real progress that people can touch and feel. Now, that's not to say that the Minister administration didn't have some successes, Mr. Deputy. Every administration has its share of success stories. For example, they successfully introduced one of the largest tax increase in Bahamian history when they increased VAT by 60%, stifling the economy in the process. They successfully lowered duties on washing machine parts. That was their very successful superwash stimulus program.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for St. Barnabas.
The good man from Golden Mr. Deputy, the member for Golden Gates, who I respect highly, Mr. Deputy, fails to say that the Free National Movement took VAT off of bread basket items. Took VAT off of bread basket items. And this narrative, Mr. Deputy, Mr. Deputy, this narrative that the government is trying to put out there, they are the ones that are taxing the Bahamian people. They are taxing the Bahamian people, Mr. Deputy. They are the ones taxing the Bahamian people, but now they're trying to deflect.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
St. Barnabas is well aware that he is speaking out of turn. It is not a point of order. Member of St. Barnabas is well aware of that.
The chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Marco City.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy. Mr. Deputy, we have cleared this matter up several times before, but just for the record, I'd like to share for the members' benefit and for the public. When we came to office, with a budget having already been drafted. In the budget, Mr. Deputy, washing machines, not commercial washing machines, but regular washing machines, in fact, had the exemption. So yes, that's okay. That's okay. What I'm saying is this has been clarified over and over because you are suggesting that by virtue of a member of the cabinet being the owner of a business, that there may have been some correlation. That's what the suggestion is. And so, Deputy, Mr. Deputy, for the record, it was not commercial washing machines. And here's the main issue.
Honourable members,
Mr. Deputy, aside from it not being commercial, it was their budget. And it was them who put in the budget the exemption on washing machine. It was the Progressive Liberal Party. So that's all we wanted to say. But please continue.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Golden Gate.
So here's another point. You were successful at lowering duties on caviar and helicopters. You want me to say? I was sitting. You want me to sit? No? Okay. So another one of the policies, that was another policy that was successfully delivered. While their policies didn't do much for the average Bahamian, Mr. Deputy, it seems like their agenda was very successful for a special group of people.
Yes.
Needless to say, the Davis administration has a very different approach, Mr. Deputy. Our focus is on empowering that young boy who dropped out of school during the pandemic because he didn't have internet. And maybe he wasn't the most attentive even before the pandemic. But now, for the first time in his life, his school has reached out, brought him back in, is providing hot breakfast, learning support, and most importantly, a second chance at success. He can go in the park and get internet now.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Our focus is on that young woman who has a great business idea and the ability to execute, but just needs access to capital so that she can realize her true potential as a girl boss. At the SPDC, her ambitions can be fulfilled. The funding we are allocating to entrepreneurs will make that possible. Of course, Mr. Deputy, we're focusing on the public servants who show up and work hard every day, but got overlooked for that promotion that they already met the requirement for. They've been waiting around in limbo for years, and now an administration is finally listening and taking action so that they can continue to have a fulfilling career. Our focus is on the men and women who dread going to PMH and the Rand Memorial when they fall ill. They are unable to afford to go anywhere else, and they feel afraid that they will not receive adequate treatment. But this budget will fund improved health care for them, saving lives in the process. This budget prioritizes protecting domestic abuse survivors, empowering youth, building climate resilience, developing our family islands, and the creation of jobs at every level of the economy. If you listen closely, a realization sets in. This budget is not only for the people, Mr. Deputy. In many ways, it was created by the people because we've been listening every step of the way. The feedback from our stakeholders in every section and every community can be seen at the heart of our policies and programs. Bahamians, this is your budget. Mr. Deputy, the 2023-2024 national budget builds on the successful foundation we've developed over our first 2 years in office, while introducing new initiatives that complement and supplement our existing programs. We understand that strategic national development requires us to build momentum over the years, and that can only be done by carrying over our successes as we execute our comprehensive national development plan. This new budget is a continuation of our efforts to secure the nation's borders, invest in crime prevention, strengthen climate resilience, increase food security, promote Bahamian ownership, expand affordable housing, and invest in education, training, and empowerment. Mr. Deputy, in today's world, it's not just about broad indicators of general growth. It's the details that matter. Progress is about ensuring that every individual has the opportunity to thrive, to feel safe, and to live in a fair and just society. These markers of a thriving society are at the heart of the Progressive Liberal Party's policies. We're committed to striking a balance between fiscal responsibility and addressing some of the most pressing issues faced by Bahamians. Real issues like crime, immigration, social security, healthcare, education, and Bahamian ownership. We have a vision for the Bahamas that works for everyone. Our vision for progress is about building a society where everyone gets a fair chance at life. And that is what the PLP is all about. Yes. I don't think the side opposite is very fond of our mission, Mr. Deputy, because they often seem to argue in favor of the status quo. I know. When we attempted to improve lives, and I think Central and South mentioned this, when we attempted to improve lives by raising the minimum wage, they cautioned us. They said they kind of sort of supported it in theory, but warned us over and over again to be careful not to upset the business community. The funny thing is, when the economy is growing, they say you shouldn't risk increasing expenses for businesses. When the economy is declining, they say you shouldn't increase minimum wage because the economy can't handle it. So when is a good time, in your opinion, to increase minimum wage?
They'll never do it. That's why they never did it.
Well, they'll never know. They never know. So luckily for the Bahamian people, we move forward with the increase. And now no full-time employee in this country is making $210 after a long, hard work week. Those days are gone, Mr. Deputy, and that's progress that people can feel. As you can see, despite their baseless warnings about economic shrinkage and job losses, minimum wage was increased, and the economy is still growing, and people are still getting hired every day, thanks to our people-focused approach to policy making. Yes. The word progressive is our party's name, and it isn't just for show, Mr. Deputy. It means something. It speaks to a philosophical foundation that will forever separate us from the UVPs and the F&M parties of the world. We're here to flip the script, Mr. Deputy. For those who believe in economic equality for marginalized young men, for our girls and women, for those who felt disempowered and ignored, when we say we're building a fair nation, it means we're building a nation where everyone can hold their head up high and say with confidence that they live in a country that truly believes in them. For us, it's always about the people, Mr. Deputy. I want the Bahamian people to know, in this budget, the money we spend is an investment in you, your security and protection, your empowerment, and your well-being. That is why we're continuing to invest money into the programs and policies that make a real difference. That's also why we're revisiting policies that were not able to be executed the way we wanted in the last cycle. These are not flaws in our plan, Mr. Deputy. Setbacks happen, delays happen, but we don't ever stop working toward our vision. There's a word for what we're doing, sir, and it's called determination, a product of being supremely passionate about the work you're doing to the point that you will not let challenges and unforeseen circumstances sway you. I want the Bahamian people to know that we're in it for the long haul. Yes. Mr. Deputy, the F&M talked a big game about being fiscally responsible, but what did they really achieve? Nothing worth mentioning. They sank the nation into unprecedented levels of debt. The PLP is investing in the Bahamian people and still keeping our spending in check. Yeah. We're making sure the people's hard-earned tax dollars are going where they're needed most. We're focusing on the people, Mr. Deputy. Right now, no need for talk about the next time or what we can do next term. From day one, we've worked toward our vision of increased Bahamian ownership, and we will continue to do so in this budget cycle by providing $50 million in funding to local small and medium-sized businesses and investing millions more in agriculture, grants for farmers included. We can wait your question time. We can fix that. Yeah. Yeah, wait. In this budget, we're developing our family islands in ways that every administration always promised. But we're now delivering a new hospital in Grand Bahama, as well as a new job program to get Grand Bahamians back to work. Grand Bahama, listen, you got to pay attention, know what's coming for you. Hundreds of miles of roadworks in Exuma, Eleuthera, Long Island, Cat Island, and other family islands. There are record levels of private sector investments in the family islands and a public-private partnership that will expand Family Island airport capacity and provide a better travel experience for Bahamians and visitors alike. 15 airports in total will be redeveloped, all being initiated within this budget cycle. We're not stopping there. With the member for Elizabeth at the helm, we're making home ownership a reality for more people with the expansion of the affordable housing and rent-to-own programs. We know the F&M didn't build a single home in over 4 years. But don't worry about that. We're going to make up for the incompetence and misplaced priorities. Hundreds of Bahamians will realize their dream of home ownership, and that will be a priority in each and every one of our budgets. We're investing in education and training, preparing our young people for the jobs of the future. Mr. Deputy, regarding education, which is so ably led, again, by my colleagues from Eggleston and Yamacraw, there's an initiative in this budget that is very near and dear to my heart. Whenever we start talking about children, it touches me. Last year, in recognition of the fact that many children were going to school hungry, I launched a hot breakfast program in my constituency for the Sybil Strawn Primary School, and then it was extended to all students within the constituency, no matter which school, to ensure that our Golden Gates babies could begin their day with a hot and hearty breakfast. No, Marco City, my money ain't long, but we get constituency allowance, and that's what it's used for every day. My money in Golden Gates is used in Golden Gates. I also initiated a community-wide food assistance initiative to serve hot breakfast and dinner to anyone who needed it in Golden Gates. I'm very, very passionate about the issues surrounding access to basic necessities such as food and nutrition. So I applaud this administration, our administration, for launching a national school breakfast program and recognizing the need for a feeding program on a national scale.
Yes. I think that is
Mr. Deputy, I also note with great concern the Prime Minister's observation about the performance of boys in our schools and the participation of males in opportunities for tertiary education. Last year, I launched a female empowerment education scholarship to fund the tertiary education of a qualified Golden Gates female resident. Today, I'm pleased to announce a male empowerment education scholarship that will ensure that a promising young male in Golden Gates will be given the opportunity to attend college on a scholarship, full tuition, room and board. And this is courtesy of a partnership with Bridget Francis International and Houston Tillotson University. Yes. That's not all, Madam Speaker. Listening, Marco? Thanks for Golden Gates. Madam Speaker, Mr. Deputy, I'll also provide an additional 3 partial scholarships for males in Golden Gates. And information on how to apply for these scholarship opportunities is available on my social media platforms. In fact, they can follow all of my platforms at Pia Glover Roll on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, not only to sign up for scholarship opportunities, but to be updated on the exciting summer events that are approaching and all the great events that we host in Golden Gates. Mr. Deputy, the disengagement of young men from the educational system at all levels is a major concern that is both a causative factor and a symptom, all within a web of social and cultural ills that manifest as self-destructive behavior, mental illness, drug abuse, self-regulation issues, hopelessness, and violent crime. I want our young men to know we love you and we care about you. You will not be ignored. Many of the initiatives funded in this budget, like the Second Chance Program, the Smart Start Program, the expansion of urban renewal, and even the National Youth Guard, are all positive avenues which young men and women can be empowered. In this budget, we're also standing up for the women and fighting against domestic violence by providing support for domestic violence survivors and allocating more resources to organizations fighting to end violence against women. The new women's shelter we will build, led by the members from West End and Bimini and Marathon, is very needed, Mr. Deputy, very needed. And ultimately, it will save lives. I cannot explain to you how relieved I am to know that the allocations have been made and we can expect to see real progress on this particular initiative. While it may not fall under my ministry, I want the Bahamian women to know that it is a personal mission of mine to keep check on this progress of this initiative and push for its completion in whatever way I can to ensure that it's done as quickly as possible. That's my promise to the women of the nation, and I'm certain my fellow female colleagues are anxious as I am to see this come to fruition. Mr. Deputy, we're committed to approaching access to health care as a fundamental right. Led by my colleague from Tall Pines, our budget includes major investments in healthcare infrastructure across our islands, including making headway on the construction of hospitals in New Providence and Grand Bahama, as well as upgraded clinics throughout the country. We're expanding the catastrophic healthcare fund to alleviate the financial burden on individuals facing major illnesses or injuries. We are also improving on NHI and government pharmacy plan coverage. These initiatives will ensure that every citizen has access to treatments and medicines that they need without risking financial ruin. The National Organ Donor Initiative is yet another exciting development in this budget, and I'm an advocate for it. I'm looking forward to it coming to fruition. So these are all important steps in the right direction, Mr. Deputy. But we're thinking also of the brave men and women of our uniformed branches. They deserve the best. We're giving them vision and dental coverage, which will be in addition to the continuation of the negotiated salary increases. The member for Freetown, along with the top brass of our military arms, through this budget, will continue an holistic approach to crime, using saturation patrols to make our nation safer and through investment in our rehabilitative systems. For those who've made mistakes in the past, the Second Chance program will give them an opportunity to turn their lives around and make a positive impact. Youth sports and culture is a priority too, and my colleague from Garden Hills is doing a stellar job leading the charge in this ministry. As a product of the creative community, I'm extremely pleased that we're renovating community centers and funding a new performing arts school to educate the Orange economy leaders of tomorrow. We're investing in Family Island sports facilities. We're putting sports tourism back on the map in a big way. And we are preparing to host multiple international and local sporting events. We want our artists and our athletes to shine. I want to be very clear to the Bahamian people. This is not just rhetoric. The budgetary allocations have already been made. These initiatives will be funded. We're taking real actions that directly benefit you, your family, and your community. Together, we can achieve great security and meaningful progress through the empowerment of Bahamian people. I ask all Bahamians to support us in forging ahead. Even if you're feeling cynical right now, even if no government has ever made you feel heard, we are listening, and we will continue to work toward building a better Bahamas for you. Despite what we have presented in this budget, there are still some politically motivated supporters of the opposition out there saying that what we're doing is not enough. This administration has had one of the most productive first 2 years in Bahamian history. We're now, just results, we're now talking about a 2023-2024 national budget that builds on that momentum through a focus on economic security, national security, and social security. Not enough is how the side opposite should describe their half-baked ideas and lack of real solutions while in government and in opposition, displaying no real substantive reason why anyone should ever support their ambitions to run this country again. They excel at making noise, trying to sell a story about their success under their former leader, and no one is buying it. Mr. Deputy, I can assure you that no one is looking at the administration through rose-colored glasses. No one is sitting at home feeling nostalgic about the competent authority and his lockdowns. No one is pining for the days when the former administration treated the media and the Bahamian people with the utmost disrespect and disregard. I suggest they stop trying to rewrite history and commit to learn from their mistakes. Those who do not learn from their mistakes are doomed to repeat them. Mr. Deputy, there are fundamental differences on display between this administration and the side opposite. Each day that passes, the Davis administration reaffirms to the Bahamian people that they made the right choice on September 16, 2021. Mr. Deputy, I haven't even talked about what's in store for the Ministry of Public Service yet. First of all, I must applaud the government for funding the many salary increases for public servants. And like I said earlier, that's millions more in the pockets of everyday Bahamians, helping them make ends meet and feed their families. At the Ministry of Public Service, we will continue our agenda to transform the public service, ensuring that we take care of our valued public servants and introduce key reforms to improve productivity and morale as we streamline for increased operational efficiency. There is no area of our original agenda that we have not worked on in a substantive way. We're accomplishing all of the goals we set out to achieve, and we're doing it while maintaining fiscal discipline. In fact, Mr. Deputy, the overall public service budget has shrunk by 4% year over year. That is an overall $13 million decrease while still maintaining all of our key priorities. The decrease is largely due to reductions in contract workers' salaries, reduction in consultancy services, and reductions to insurance premiums thanks to consolidation and streamlining efforts, as well as the reallocation of certain items to finance this budget. While the overall public service budget is smaller, we do have a few key increases. There's been a 16% increase for permanent and pensionable public servants to fund the minimum wage increase, make salary corrections, adjustments, restore increments, regularize, confirm. There are 122 high school and college graduates that are key additions to the public servants. It's about the people. There's an overall 39% increase in special employment projects, largely related to funding for the Public Service Professional Engagement Program, which we will continue to prioritize. PSPEP represents a remodeling of government recruitment and training. We're setting up people to win, deploying them where their qualifications match, and redeploying them where necessary. Our partnership with the private sector was groundbreaking, allowing more diverse opportunities beyond government jobs. We anticipate an expansion of our initiative to engage the differently abled through PSPEP this year. The PSPEP unit is also currently being revamped, and we're also doing an analysis to streamline and ensure that people are engaged as employees and not just participants. The days of people being on the 52-week program for years and never getting confirmed are over. So that is why, Mr. Deputy, we're having so many confirmations within this fiscal year. Some people have been in limbo for 9 years, Mr. Deputy, 9 years without being regularized.
20 years.
Can you imagine? 20 years in some instances. We're now providing them with job security. They earned this by becoming permanent and pensionable public servants. It's a shame that the situation lasted so long, but these soon-to-be regularized public servants are now finally advancing to a new phase in their careers, thanks to this Davis administration. Activities under the Special Employment Projects line item include the College Recruits Program to bring qualified college graduates into the public service, as well as the Summer Employment Program. There have also been special allocations to ensure that we have robust participation in the PSPEP program in Abaco and Grand Bahama, where the opportunity to participate in this program is very needed. Other relevant increases in this upcoming budget will be related to increased responsibility allowances for public servants, an increase in the budget for domestic travel, largely related to travel by the Public Service Center for Human Resource Development, which is our training department. We expand the work of this department because we see the need to upskill and train family islanders for upcoming advancement opportunities. The increase of over $6,000 in the international travel budget is specifically related to travel by members of our Labor Relations Unit to the ILO meeting in Geneva, Switzerland in June of 2024. Finally, there has been an increase in line items related to Public Service Week under the Subsistence for Travelers within the Bahamas line item, other supplies and goods line item, and fees and other charges line items. Mr. Deputy, we're on the road to 50, and we're doing Public Service Week big this year. This year, we're bringing back the awards ceremony and luncheon to recognize former and current legends in the public service.
Yes.
We're having a mock parliamentary session, visits with the Prime Minister and the Governor General, a fun run walk, and a careers day fair. But of course, we're also having the biggest Public Service Week parade ever. And agencies have been allotted a stipend so that they can all take part in this year's Public Service Week parade, celebrating 50 years of public service excellence. The parade is always a big deal for public servants, but this year we will be sure to make it extra special. Some people, especially those who don't work in the public service, may ask the question, what's the big deal about Public Service Week? They can be confused about the reason why Public Service Week is important and why we must do it big on the road to 50. But Mr. Deputy, as someone who has worked in the public service, I can tell you that public servants get a lot of complaints when things go wrong, but hardly get recognition when things go well. Every year, they get 1 week when they can be recognized and celebrate themselves. This year, It's time to celebrate those who have done the work to get us where we are. They will get the recognition they deserve, and all public servants will get an opportunity to pat themselves on the back as the true drivers of the government's work. Public servants matter, and we want them to know just how much we appreciate their efforts. The budget for Public Service Week is essentially an investment in team building and boosting employee morale. Mr. Deputy, the public service-wide promotional exercise will be completed during this budget cycle. This is the first public service-wide promotional exercise in over 9 years. The last time a public service-wide promotion occurred, the last PLP administration was in power. That was also the last time minimum wage was increased. I won't say anything else about that. You know, there seems to be a trend over there. Let me leave that alone. Yeah, you know. When we talk about the differences between the PLP and the side opposite, the biggest differences in priorities, values, philosophies, this is a perfect example of how we're very, very different from them. Mr. Deputy, there are many public servants who are already performing duties above and beyond what their titles obligated them to do. Yet, they stepped up and they performed because they felt duty-bound to ensure that the work of the government was done. The public service-wide promotion is for them. Being a public servant is often a thankless job, but this administration recognizes the hard work of our public servants, and we intend to show that recognition in ways that count through increased salaries and career advancement. The wait has been long, and a majority of the public servants covered under this exercise will receive not one, but 2 promotions. Some people have waited over a decade and finally getting the resolution they deserve under this administration. Yes. Many of the workers being promoted have worked beyond the scope of their title for many years. Now it's time for their titles and pay to match their responsibilities. We've also recently completed assessments that will lead to qualified public servants at the executive level entering into administrative leadership roles. From entry level to mid-level, and even at the very top, we are facilitating career advancement after years and years of neglect and inaction by previous administration. How many people can even remember who is the former public service minister? I don't think anyone. That should tell you that everything you need to know about they actually accomplished. Mr. Deputy, the government, a conversation they didn't know. The government led by the Ministry of Finance is exploring ways that a contributory pension plan can be feasibly introduced. The draft legislation will soon be presented to public sector unions for feedback. But as we await that feedback, I can inform you of the ideal format for this contributory pension plan. Ideally, the way this will work is that the benefits will be larger on average than those experienced under the existing plan, and will also be proportionate to the amount of public servant contributions. The more you contribute, the more you will receive. Existing public servants will still be entitled to their current pension plan, as well as NIB. They will be able to opt into this contributory pension plan so that when they retire, they will receive NIB benefits, the existing pension plan benefits, as well as the expanded benefits from the contributory pension plan. New public servants will be streamlined in the contributory pension plan, which will provide better benefits in a financially sustainable way for the beneficiary as well as the government. The plan is also intended to be portable. This means that if you start your career in the government and then you decide to explore private sector opportunities, you can take the plan with you and even begin to contribute more so that you can receive more benefits upon retirement. This is a modern pension plan for modern Bahamas. Mr. Deputy, even as we roll out new initiatives and plans, we're continuing to advance our current slate of reforms. A public service-wide audit is nearing completion, which will inform major recruitment and training efforts, as well as HR policies moving forward. Digitalization efforts were initiated this year, and we are now moving full speed ahead with the digitalization of hundreds of thousands of files within the ministry. Yes. When we are done, estimates indicate that we should expect a significant boost in efficiency as we automate workflows and digitize files for quick and secure access. The end result will be faster processes for every area of public service. If it involves the use of a file, it will be done at an exponentially faster rate. Another phase of our digitalization efforts is the introduction of our HR Management Information System that is being led by the Ministry of Finance in tandem with the Ministry of Public Service. This system will allow for greater accountability. This system will allow for ease of access of employees accessing their files and human resources matters. But most importantly, this will allow for authentication and verification of employees across the public service. We're currently in the process of a manpower audit. This HRMIS system will solidify the results of our manpower audit and is complementary to the new financial management system. It's important to note that this improved efficiency isn't about getting rid of people. In fact, there will be new gaps created that must be filled through training as we prepare our public servants to work and be effective in a completely digital environment. Digitalization and modernization is not about replacing people with technology. It's about empowering people to do the best jobs possible by equipping them with 21st century tools that allow for an unprecedented level of productivity. There will also be a review of the performance appraisal system, which will also speak to more accountability in the completion of ACRs. No longer will senior management and supervisory employees be able to get away with not completing ACRs of their subordinate staff. This is hindering their upward mobility because of missing requisite documents on file. We've analyzed the issues, Mr. Deputy, and we're systematically making the necessary changes so that we don't ever have to see a backlog in the public service system again. Our workforce audit will be critical in determining how we train and redeploy human resources to maximize the effectiveness of our digital transformation process. Ultimately, what it is really about is automating repetitive, low-skill level tasks that can be handled by software so that workers can focus on the tasks that really matter. As we move forward with digitization, we will also be moving forward with major reforms to public service HR policies. Our unit of HR specialists has been hired with the sole objective of reforming HR policies, processes, and units across the public service. We're guided by best practices implemented by other governments, as well as the private sector. Already on the agenda is the centralization and retraining of all HR specialists throughout the government and the redeployment of anyone who has HR credentials but isn't currently working with HR, so that we are fully leveraging the existing HR expertise at our disposal. Our unit of HR specialists will also review and reform antiquated policies that have been plaguing the public service for many years. So many public servants have been crying for many of the old policies to be updated, and now they finally will be. Eventually, along with the Office of the Attorney General, we will be amending the Public Service Act itself, bringing into law many of the needed reforms so that we can get that much closer to achieving our goal of having a modernized 21st century public service. With all these reforms taking place, it is mandatory that we also place a major emphasis on training so that we can upskill existing public servants, reposition those who show potential into new roles, and ensure that every new hire knows everything they need to know to thrive in a modern digital ecosystem of the public service. Mr. Deputy, as we really zero in on meeting the capacity needs of the public service and the training needs of our human resource, the government will be investing in upskilling our public servants. Creating an educated and well-qualified public service is essential. No team can exceed the capacity of its team members. So investment in people is the only way to truly reach our goals. Today, I'm announcing that this week we will be bringing the National Public Service Scholars Program to Cabinet for approval. This collaboration with the University of the Bahamas will provide training and educational opportunities to prepare public servants for promotions and upskill them so that they can do their best work. As public service policies are updated and upgraded, our workforce will be as well. We will make sure that every public servant who wants to educate themselves will be able to be trained, certified, qualified, and accredited. Once again, Mr. Deputy, this administration is all about the people. As these reforms and training initiatives are rolled out, we won't forget about the people who've been waiting for us to take action on their individual situations. The promotions and payments backlog will continue to be cleared as we get the careers of hundreds of public servants back on track. Our accommodations unit will assess the conditions public servants are working in to ensure that the government is making use of its rented spaces and to confirm that individuals the government is renting from are keeping up their part of the bargain by maintaining their buildings. When all is said and done, we will complete a consolidation exercise, much like what we did with the Edwin Smiley Bastian Corporate Center, moving multiple ministries into more affordable premises to save costs in the long term. We've already disengaged 13 leases and expect to begin seeing savings during this cycle. Now that these old leases are canceled, the consolidation will begin reaping the intended results. Our goal is to have every government ministry, agency, department, and unit functioning in a clean, well-resourced, comfortable environment that is conducive to productivity. It's unfortunate that all public servants haven't already been working in that kind of environment, but fortunately, we're now prepared to address the issue for good. When it comes to accommodations, this year we will also be expediting the process to move the Ministry of the Public Service to a more suitable building. One without the environmental issues currently being experienced, as well as the space and facilities that are needed. Although there are upfront costs due to the elimination of the need to rent multiple premises, as well as the provision of on-site facilities like a sufficiently large room to host conferences and trainings, we will no longer have to rent costly external venues for events and meetings. This will be a modern building designed to cater to the needs of the modern Bahamian worker. We're also discussing the potential of having gym access, childcare facilities, and other modern amenities in our new public service building. These facilities will be available to the Ministry of Public Service employees at all levels. Once again, it's an investment in people and in morale and productivity. We want our single mothers to know we're looking out for them. Yes. We want our workers to know we care about their health. The Ministry of Public Service is the HR branch of the government. We must lead by example when it comes to demonstrating how a 21st century organization treats and respects its human resources. So, Deputy, it's an honor to serve as a part of a cabinet that truly understands what people-focused national development looks like. A government that continues to prioritize people, even when there are hard choices to be made. We see that in the work of the Ministry of Public Service, as well as the work of this administration and what we're doing in this country. So, Deputy, I would like to thank the Prime Minister for his leadership in empowering us ministers to get the job done on behalf of the Bahamian people. I'd also like to thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Public Service for the faith he has bestowed on me as Minister of State as we reimagine and transform the public service. One thing the Bahamian people can be certain of is that their needs will always inform our decisions. Every successful government has those special things they're known for. The Pindling administrations were known for their nationalism and creation of institutions. The Christie administrations were known for sports tourism, urban renewal, national development plan, among other initiatives. This term in government and this administration will be defined by our impact on the people. We continue to demonstrate why the PLP truly is the party of the people. Of course, it's always a privilege to serve the beautiful people of Golden Gates, and I continue to be guided by my three pillars of empowerment, education, and enterprise as we make the constituency safer, cleaner, and more empowering for you to live. I look forward to all of the good that this budget will do for our nation. We call this a budget for security and progress. Hashtag just results. Hashtag for the people. We're blessed as a people. And through this budget, we will be even more blessed with security and prosperity. Thank you, Mr. Deputy. May God bless the beautiful Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As many, the Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for St. Anne's.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I'm not sure if Madam Speaker is in the building. She might want to return now that I'm on my feet. In case she's not, I will continue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's been difficult today to listen to this New Day government talk about the things they've been speaking on. Truthfully, it's made me feel nauseous on numerous occasions, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I mean, they still talk about VAT and the F&M increasing VAT. I fear for our children, Mr. Deputy Speaker, if they have an influence over those students in the primary school years, especially with all of these remarks that they give at different ceremonies through the year, they will really mislead you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. The world knows, the Bahamas knows, it was the PLP that introduced VAT up to a rate of 7.5%. It was the PLP that when they came back in, Mr. Deputy Speaker, they raised it again from 7.5% to 12%. Every time they've come into government, they've raised the rate on value-added tax, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Now they're all sitting over there dumbfounded, like, hold on. Let me tell you my point, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Let me tell you my point, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Under Perry Christie's PLP administration, they introduced VAT. The PLP introduced VAT 7.5%. The F&M came in. There was nothing left on the table. Under the PLP administration, they basically wiped away every penny from the public treasury. There was no promise for the country except for this infamous Oban deal, which they love to tout. That's all they left. That's all they left for the Bahamian people to move forward on after downgrading upon downgrading upon downgrading. The F&M needed revenue. The F&M took the bold step, increased the PLP VAT from 7.5% to 12%. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, if this nauseous PLP New Day administration was for the people, they left office and the VAT rate was 7.5%. Now, why, if they knew what they were doing, did they not take it back down to 7.5%, but only take it, or as I say, move it from 7.5% to 10%? Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have to be serious with what we do when we're in opposition, as well as what we do when we are in government. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this administration is going along with a smile on their face, while the fingers, in my opinion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, are crossed behind their back. They are hoping that nothing catastrophic happens, that we never see what they have hidden, like the true cost of that infamous trip to Bermuda. and that they hope they will remain intact. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we're here to debate the budget. There's over 30 bills of legislation that are in support of this compendium of bills under this 2023-2024 budget. But tell me which minister, which speaker from the government side has done anything but give a ministerial communication? Which one has gone into more than 3 pieces of legislation? I'll challenge you to tell me which one has gone into even 1 piece of those 30 parts of the budget compendium. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, what we've heard is the accomplishments of this New Day administration. What they think, Mr. Deputy Speaker, are their accomplishments of this administration. Take, for instance, the last speaker in her ministerial communication, Mr. Deputy Speaker. She spoke about these 18 labor agreements. Now, that's fine. Yeah, 1, we can say we have, as they did. We can say we've had 1 every month. Truthfully, they were all done, I think, close to 6 months, like right away. Promises made, promises kept. Mr. Deputy Speaker, what about these labor agreements does the public know, other than that they've been signed? What was the terms of the agreements that we are obligated to now, Mr. Deputy Speaker? Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's nice to give the public headlines, to put them to sleep, let them be at ease. But there's 39 of us in this honorable House of Assembly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and we must be truthful with ourselves. So if we, the 39, do not understand what is actually going on, how can the rest of the 350,000 Bahamians that live in this country and the 50-plus Haitian nationals and foreign nationals that live in this country know what's actually going on? At any point in an administration's time in government in a 5-year stint, there's 5 occasions when we should be coming, at the very least, with as much detail as we can. And you know how I know that, Mr. Deputy Speaker? You know how I know that? Even though, as Engliston tried to tell me last time when she got irritated with me, that I'm a rookie in this House of Assembly. But I know that this occasion, these budget communications, Mr. Deputy Speaker, are the times when we should be giving the details, when we should be going all out with the information. Yes. Not with the celebration, Mr. Deputy Speaker, yes. But with the information, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I know this because the mover, when it's budget time, is given up to 3 hours. The seconder, normally a minister, is given 2 hours. The leader of the opposition is given 2 hours. Members of the House of Assembly, non-parliamentary secretaries, non-junior ministers, non-ministers, honorable, humble people like myself, just regular MPs, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we're given 1 full hour to speak on our feet. Mr. Deputy Speaker, that is how I know that every administration, at least 5 times a year, the people are supposed to have the details. The people are supposed to receive the information. Mr. Deputy Speaker, of all the pieces of legislation that were tabled on the 31st of May, and we were told to come back to begin debate 1 week later, of all of the pieces of legislation, Mr. Deputy Speaker, now honestly, even though I'm an attorney, I've never been a big reader. I've never been one of those to brag that I read a book every week, maybe 4 books a week. I read a book every month. I've never made it page to page of the Bible, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And as a youth, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it was normally the pictures in the Encyclopedia Britannica that brought my attention rather than the headline or the subtitle. But Mr. Deputy Speaker, this administration has given all members of the House of Assembly, now, they have I don't want to use an offensive word, so I won't say they have a fat cabinet, but they have a large cabinet, maybe one of the biggest in recent administrations, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And all of those ministers in that large cabinet, they have writers. I mean, you've seen where almost every face you've recognized on national television is no longer on your TV screen anymore. They're in some ministry. They're in some ministry, whether radio personality, radio host, and they're writing. They're writing for this New Day administration. So when we have 7 days, Mr. Deputy Speaker, when we are expected, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to get through a total of 1,472 pages of a compendium of legislative items, including a tariff act that's 939 pages, including a budget, which I have here is 290 pages. It's challenging, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Almost impossible for an individual to do. But maybe when you have a team of media personalities, a team of writers, you can convince the public, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that you've done a pretty good job at completing that task. Not me, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I've been able so far, and I'll have more time because we're likely to continue this debate for another 2 weeks before we get to committee, before we go through the finer details of the budget, the finer details of the budget, the numbers, the details. And I'll be more prepared to ensure that on behalf of my constituents, on behalf of my fellow citizens of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, I'll be more familiar with what this New Day administration is trying to do with the money allocated for use and for revenue generation in the 2023-2024 year. But to give the public some idea, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I believe that these bills have already been tabled or already been loaded up to a website where if you log on to it and you read the instructions that these will be law July 1st, you know, clearly with no expectation that there's going to be any amendment to any of these laws. The government has its way. The opposition has its say. We have the budget. We've heard some points, definitely some very good points from my colleague from East Grand Bahama. We've heard some points from that budget. The appropriation revenue account expense, that's a 4-page bill. No one's gone through the objects and reasons of that. Most persons here know what those are. We've gone through the appropriation capital development 2023-2024 bill, another 4-page document. Most persons know what those objects and reasons are. But then the tariff schedule. No one's taken us through this 939-page document. Now, if you were in the House of Assembly at the time, I don't see any copies tabled right now. But that document was in what looked like a 3-inch to a 6-inch binder. If you were strong enough to carry it out of the House the day that it was given to you, you probably never moved it after you placed it down upon taking it from here. I mean, it's large enough. It's large enough, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to be the door wedge of the King's new castle. But let me tell you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, when you find yourself in a bind, depending on what business you're in, depending on what item you're trying to bring into the country, what you're looking to do, if you find yourself in a bind and you wonder, how did this happen? When did this change? You're going to want to get yourself a copy of that big King's wedge and go through it. Or else the few officers that are familiar with it, they'll embarrass you. They'll tell you that was changed July 1st. All of your budgeting up until that time that you had planned to bring an item in to do this aspect of business are now thrown out the window because just like myself, you probably haven't read every page of it and are not entirely familiar with it yet. But Mr. Deputy Speaker, these are the things that we should be considering. We should be considering adjusting for future years. It's not right, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to have so many bills form part of a compendium and expect both sides of the House to go through those in detail, to have opportunity to consult with their constituents who they're representing here, so that they may voice concerns their constituents may have, or to propose and consider potential amendments. Another of these bills is the excise bill, the stamp amendment bill, the value-added tax amendment bill. Now, the value-added tax amendment bill is a 14-page document. This administration has touted that they have not introduced any new taxes. Now, in the brief time we've had here, we've already shown that that wasn't, in fact, correct. But I'm going to show you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, as I'm on my feet this evening, new taxes that have been imposed upon Bahamians through this value-added tax amendment bill. It's a 14-page document, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and most Bahamians know that if you ever do a land transaction, and you have a conveyance, there's going to be a tax payable on that land transaction. Currently, there's a scale which applies to Bahamians and non-Bahamians, where if it's under a certain amount, the rate is 2.5%. If it's under 500,000, for instance, the rate, I think, is 6%. If it's under 300,000, it's a rate of, I think, 4%. Under 250,000, it's something even different. That scale was introduced by the New Day administration. And in my opinion, if they could make the numbers work so that there was still revenue coming in, it was a very attractive amendment. They say they haven't introduced any new taxes, Mr. Deputy Speaker, when in fact what they've done is they've kept the scale in place for Bahamians, but only if you sell property to Bahamians. The moment a Bahamian tries to put his property on the free market and sells that property to a foreigner, automatically the value-added tax, this new tax that this 2023-2024 budget has placed on Bahamians, this new tax, has taken that scale, whether it would have been 2%, 2.5%, 4%, 6%, 8%, it has imposed that transaction, which is a Bahamian transaction. There's a Bahamian involved. Vendors and purchasers are equally responsible for the payment of tax to the public treasury, the Inland Revenue Department. That is a tax that Bahamians now have to pay. They've imposed a new tax. They've imposed a new tax, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And they have brought some chaos, Mr. Deputy Speaker, on the real estate industry. And they have imposed chaos, Mr. Deputy Speaker, on the real estate industry. The chaos I'm talking about, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is a direct result from the BRIA policy that a property listed on MLS is at a gross listing price. Now, a gross listing price is calculated by determining what the seller wants to end up with in their pocket at the end of the transaction, after all the transaction costs have been deducted. The transaction costs can include the real estate commission, which can be 6% for a developed property or 10% for an undeveloped vacant property. The transaction cost can include legal fees, which can be anywhere from a percentage range, typically of 1% to 2.5%. And the transaction costs, most importantly and most significantly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, include the value-added tax. At some time, it was entirely stamp tax. Then it became stamp tax and value-added tax, to it becoming just value-added tax. So how does a realtor now list a property based on the gross structure when the gross structure is one thing if a Bahamian is listing the property for sale only to a Bahamian. That's where the scale still applies. But what about if a Bahamian is listing their property for sale to a Bahamian company, not just a simple landholding company, because that's still considered a Bahamian individual, but to a Bahamian company where a different rate of value-added tax applies when a Bahamian company, not a landholding company, is involved in a transaction. Or, Mr. Deputy Speaker, a third possibility of when a Bahamian company is selling to a Bahamian company, a fifth possibility when a Bahamian is selling to a foreigner. How do we list that? Or when a foreigner is selling to a Bahamian, or when a foreigner is selling to a Bahamian company. And then finally, the last factor in this open market in the Bahamas is where a foreigner is selling to a foreigner. The intention may have been good, but the implementation is confusing to no end, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Now, that is something that can be clarified by someone from the relevant ministry. It can even be clarified by somebody from cabinet. Attempts can even be made to clarify it, not just for the benefit of those members in this honorable House, but for the members of the public at large, by someone even to the media. Definitely, though, Mr. Deputy Speaker, because there are pending transactions that are live right now that may not close before July 1st, which is when their website said these pieces of legislation were going to come into effect, the parties responsible under that transaction need to know. It would be great even if there was a grace period where if your instrument for sale was executed before July 1st, you would have a 3-month window to get that transaction closed and get that instrument submitted to the Inland Revenue Department and still pay value-added tax at the rate you had originally contracted to pay. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I've finished this point talking about the potential confusion out there and how you can work to quell it, resolve it, explain it, calm it. But I want you to remember that this is a new tax that Bahamians are going to be responsible to pay. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, we also have the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill. Anyone remember someone today talking about that? Nope. Commercial Entities Substance Requirement Bill? Nope. Proceeds of Crime Bill, something so important. This is a national security budget. Anyone talked about that in detail or at all? Nope. The Immigration Amendment Bill. The Immigration Amendment Bill, Mr. Deputy Speaker. The Public Finance Management Immigration Levy. Nope, nope. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we get into a combination of what must have been a good intention, and that is the Harbor Dues Amendment Bill, the Ports Authorities Amendment Bill, both affecting the marina industry and both negatively impacting the marina industry. Now, I know that there is some interest from the marina industry and credit given to this administration for allowing the importation of pleasure vessels into the Bahamas that are going to be registered here to be exempt from duties. I think that I recall that being the position. But these other bills, the Harbor Dues Amendment Bill and the Ports Authority Amendment Bill, which increases the fee for use of various marine structures based on a per vessel foot peerage rate. These are going to negatively impact an industry that has been created without much involvement of the government. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in all honesty, under the COVID lockdowns, when when cruise ships weren't coming into the Bahamas and persons still wanted to travel, those with means were still yachting. And it was a way to get money into a number of family islands, Mr. Deputy Speaker, including the one that the Prime Minister represents, Cat Island, Rum Cay, and San Salvador. I know that there have been comments, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that while certain family islands have seen upticks in revenue, other family islands that had upticks before have gone back down. I would argue, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that there's a correlation between those family islands that had done well before that have gone back down now. There's a correlation directly between the yachting industry, the marina industry, and those family islands. Before the New Day administration touched it, it was the best location to come in the region. Since the New Day began to put their fingers on it and start fumbling with it, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the majority of yachts have gone south of our archipelago, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and they've not bothered to come. They've not bothered to come at all. Now, in the last Christie administration, I can recall a number of instances that eventually were explained away and titled teachable moments, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This is one, because in my opinion, the marine industry, the yachting industry, it's a new industry for the Bahamas. We keep talking about what kind of industries can we create, and we're like, well, you know, no one's gonna give up a full sheep just for the sheep tongue. All right, even if they did give up a full sheep just for the sheep tongue, they might make $12 off of the tongue, and they get enough to put in a bag, and somehow it ends up in Sam Walton's Walmart store. But that's small money compared to a major luxury yachting industry that we have the most beautiful islands in the world, which are attractive enough. But if we tell everybody we know better, or we show that we're not considerate of what their concerns are, no matter what our view of the national priorities are, we're going to turn them off. And just like I said at the beginning, listening to this administration's contributions has nauseated me at times, Mr. Deputy Speaker. People will become nauseated as well in the yachting industry. So it's likely that it's too late to make a change now. But if the New Day administration is not going to take credit for a new yachting industry that can be the greatest in the region, can even challenge the Med yachting industry and reputation, then when I'm elected into the next government under leader Michael Pintard, I'm going to be vocal. I'm going to be vocal on every occasion, Mr. Deputy.
John, Chester, you.
I'm going to be vocal on every occasion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to make sure that money continues to arrive in the pockets of Bahamians, not just in New Providence, but in Cat Island, in Ragged Island, in Rum Cay, in San Salvador, Walker's Cay, Bimini, all islands, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Abacos, north and south, Twin City town. Andros, London, you got anything in South Andros for the people? See, you can think about it though. You got the biggest barrier reef. Put your head to it and I'll work with you, even if you're in opposition. Thank you, sir. And then we have the business license bill, Mr. Deputy Speaker, which is 62 pages. The insurance amendment bill, the tax appeal bill, the hotels amendment bill, the tourism development corporation bill. This is a 32-page document which came, fled, and now, under the cover of an army of other pieces of legislation, is back. What it's doing, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I have not had the time to get into nitty-gritty of it. But it's very important, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and it doesn't carry the confidence of everybody that's in the industry, persons and businesses that have been in the industry for decades. Why is that? Are we going to talk about it here? Who's going to be leading that conversation? Will the Deputy Prime Minister touch on it? Nobody's touched on it yet, Mr. Deputy Speaker. We have a passenger tax amendment bill, a constituency capital grant bill. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is one piece of legislation that I appreciate because you can't accomplish any significant projects under your constituency capital grant money when you're giving it out every month for one initiative, for one home, for one breadbasket item or another. But with $150,000, this New Day administration is saying, MPs, we're empowering you to do something bigger. But Mr. Deputy Speaker, can all MPs handle that? Mr. Deputy Speaker, can all MPs handle the added amount of $150,000 to pull off something substantial for their constituency? Or will they feel that they're already behind on the regular payments that they make for the regular reasons, that it's just going to result in the regular people getting a little bit more money? Now, we don't have to shake our heads at this like, no, this ain't making any sense. We can think of how constituencies should be investing that money. We should be thinking of how constituencies can invest that money. Everybody, not just MPs. Everybody, not just MPs. Everybody benefits from information. Everybody benefits from ideas. Let's not turn down opportunities. Let's not be closed to opportunities. Let's think of what we're going to do to move this country past this 50th Golden Jubilee into the next 50. We have a University of Bahamas amendment bill, Mr. Deputy Speaker, which excludes real property tax on the acquisitions of real property by the University of Bahamas. There's also provisions under the Value-Added Tax Act that I think exempt University of Bahamas, as well as the Bahamas National Trust, from having to pay value-added transfer tax on real estate that is conveyed to University of Bahamas and to the Bahamas National Trust. There's also something under the value-added tax bill that speaks to BISICs, not FTX, BISICs listed land trust companies. Now, I've not looked at that entirely yet. It is definitely new. But what is a BISICs listed land trust company? Is that some of these companies that came about when Bank of the Bahamas had all these bad debts to different individuals, names not to be mentioned? Truthfully, I don't know yet that's on BISICs. What is one, Freetown? What's one, Freetown? A land trust company that's listed on BISICs. Just an exchange. All right, I thought you were telling me something. Then we have, Mr. Deputy Speaker, then we have, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, then we have the Agricultural Sales and Services Bill. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Agricultural Sales and Services Bill empowers the department to charge fees for the sale of plants and animals and the provision of certain agricultural services. Now, we had 3 good MPs, good men, from the different departments and from the ministry today. But aside from the sale of sheep tongues, which was a basically no-show, from the beginning, because no one's selling the whole sheep just for the tongue, if you get that. Nobody talked about empowering the department to charge fees for the sale of plants and animals and provision of certain agricultural services. I remember one of the gentlemen talking about BAMSI isn't in the business of selling or competing. So I'm still confused as to whether this empowers the department to sell its own items or it empowers the department to go to any business that's currently selling these items and say, we're going to be able to charge you a license fee, something to that effect. Sorry?
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Central and Saudi Lucha.
Talking about is importation. So if you import a box of tomatoes, and the permit used to be $2, it'll be $10 now. One reason being is we are going to empower the farmers in this country. And ways to do that is to ensure that importers find ways to purchase locally. So I mean, he needs to just stop being mischievous, man.
Thank you, honorable member.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, God has not put me on this earth to remove mischievousness from me. I think he sees it as one of my greatest qualities, Mr. Deputy Speaker. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in addition to the Agricultural Sales and Services Bill, there's a Fishery Amendment Bill. Now, the Fisheries Amendment Bill empowers the Director to prohibit the transshipment, landing, buying, selling, receiving, possession of import or export of fish products. What the Minister of Agriculture has said now tells me at least that this will be on things that are imported, that there'll be a charge fee on the sale of plants that are imported. There's also an Animal Protection and Control Amendment Bill, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this may all be, giggly for some in the Honorable House, but I've spoken about pit bulls in this country before and issues that have affected residents in the Winton area of my constituency. And while there was talk about chips, so you could know who the dog belonged to and what his medical history was, there wasn't anything groundbreaking about how dangerous animals were going to be treated. Now, what's important to our nation today is something that occurred yesterday in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas when the police were executing a warrant of arrest. A new mother was hit with a bullet, was shot by those police officers in their attempt to execute a warrant of arrest. I don't believe that it was the victim of that gunshot who was the subject of that arrest warrant. I don't believe it was the young mother, the new mother, who was the subject of that warrant. But, Mr. Deputy Speaker, she was hit by a bullet, which, from all descriptions of the incident, was meant to be lodged in the body of a pit bull, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And somehow that bullet ricocheted off of some part of that pit bull. No, it's all right. No, afterwards. But we have this piece of legislation, we have this issue in the country. This incident actually highlights two issues. The concern of police officers for the fear and aggression of this particular breed of dogs. And secondly, the manner in which they're authorized to eliminate the risk. I don't think you're going to find any Bahamian that owns a canine, a dog, is going to ever want an officer to come onto their property and shoot their dog with a gun to kill it. I've seen one video before of such an incident where before the police, big group of police actually made it onto the precincts of the yard and to the boundaries over the through the fence and the wall, they began shooting at the dogs there. Now, I don't know how fast somebody in that house is going to get away. You know, I've seen all the U.S. TV shows, like they're gonna jump through the back door. But there has to be a better way to address this issue, which is a national issue, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And you know, if he got away, there's only so many boundaries to the property. Why is everybody coming through one? Why doesn't somebody go to where they need to be? So maybe the purpose of the warrant is perfected and the individual's arrested without having to hit another dog, without having to strike a brand new mother. Now, this may not be serious. You may think, oh, he got away, so, you know, point made. They had justification to shoot the dog. Nothing can justify the police causing a brand new mother to be hit by a bullet in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. You guys need to take a breath. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we also were given the boat registration amendment bill. So for those of the public that didn't know already, there is a number of pieces of legislation that are coming under this budget. It's not all about what this New Day administration thinks that they've done. It's not all about what this New Day administration thinks the F&M never did, because I have an entire list of what, at least under the Ministry of Public Works, the F&M administration did in very difficult times, probably the most difficult for any administration in the history of our nation. But I looked at this budget, Mr. Deputy Speaker, which increases, among other things, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the amount of money that consultants are to receive by way of a budget. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, when I think that millions more are going to consultants, when I think that based on this article from the Nassau Guardian by Travis Cartwright Carroll, dated the 5th of June, 2023, that says in the current budget, the government originally allocated $65.1 million for consultancy services. But according to the 2023-2024 budget tabled in Parliament last week, that figure ballooned to $76.2 million. When I hear that, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I remember going to Mamaco's convenience store last week and seeing two female constituents from my constituency on the Johnson Road part of our community having to go and buy bread and bologna.
Mr. Deputy, please protect us from them, please. Please protect us from them.
Order, members.
Now,
that's support.
He said Major this morning, right? Major.
A new fragrance. A new fragrance.
Order, members.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, when I see this amount of money when I see this amount of money going to consultancy contracts, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and yesterday when I see some are having tea while others are stuck on bread and bologna, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
I wouldn't speak prematurely. I can speak prematurely. I can leave it. I can say that. Oh, yes. Mafia.
Order, members.
Give it time. Give it time.
Well, I see yesterday, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that some are having tea while others are stuck on bread and bologna. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I recognize that this is a budget for those well off to get more contracts, while the average Bahamian feels attacked. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the average Bahamian is under attack from taxes.
Yes.
You heard this administration brag of the revenue, but they didn't produce the golden goose that created this revenue. We all know the golden goose, however, is the amount of tax that has been collected off the backs of the average Bahamian.
Yes.
While some are having tea, Mr. Deputy Speaker, others are struggling to survive off bread and bologna.
No, daiquiris, sorry. Yes.
Now, in the past, I provided this exhibit, Mr. Deputy Speaker. These aren't the caviar that a lot of these ministerials indulge in. These are bread basket items, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
People got to hear it, though.
These are bread basket items, Mr. Deputy Speaker. These are bread basket items, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And these are bread basket items, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the PLP administration looks at now as the golden goose. How many eggs can the golden goose lay in a month? We got the bread basket. We got the bread basket tax. We got the bread basket tax egg. That's one golden egg the golden goose has laid for this PLP administration. Every single day when that old mother and that middle-aged daughter who's taking care of her old mother make their way to the window at Mama Co's, not even comfortable enough to open the door and come inside and look on the shelves. They know they can't see a thing they'll be able to afford to buy. They come to the window, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in St. Anne's in my constituency, Mr. Deputy Speaker. They come to the window and they ask how much is the bread and how much is the bologna. And they get the bread and bologna at dusk, Mr. Deputy Speaker, not in the middle of the day, not after work. At dusk when those persons are returning to their homes, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Because they are not pleased with the place in this new day Bahamas, Mr. Deputy Speaker. They would like to be able to buy a little bit more. They would like to go into the store, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in this new day Bahamas. That is the bread basket golden goose egg. That's one egg. Now, let's have a look at another egg, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that this PLP New Day administration has created. In 2001, beginning of June, my household got a BPL bill. Now, some of you may not be on the BPL list. Do they still have a list, untouchable list? I'm touchable, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So when I get my BPL bill, I do my best to pay it. I've had my electricity cut off at least 3 times in the past. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I have a difficulty paying bills on time. I'm a bit of a procrastinator, Mr. Deputy Speaker, but it's because I don't want to give other people my money because I don't have beaucoup l'argent. That's plenty money for La Mesure. He said La Mesure was what he was going to call his French cologne, but Southern Shores, you know, that's not Paris, France. He's talking about the other French people. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is the second golden egg. This is the second golden egg that the PLP administration has enriched themselves from so that they can pay those big salaries to consultants. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I have 4 people in my house.
Your voice ain't bright.
I know the number of air conditioning units. I know the number of fridge and appliances that I have. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in 2021, in that bill that came in the beginning of June, the value-added tax rate amount that I had to pay, that VAT, that's going clean to the New Day administration. Actually, that was the FNM administration back in end of May, beginning of June of 2021. That's $58.30 going into the inland revenue. Now here comes the golden egg. This is the second golden egg I've seen from my personal experience. Same time of the year, 2 years later, 1st of June, the bill comes out 2023. The amount of tax now that I pay clean, this is the second golden egg, has almost doubled. $92.20. Almost doubled, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Same number of people, same appliances in my house. You know, they walk around here bragging. They walk around here bragging in their brand new ministerial cars. Some of them got department cars. Some of them got MP cars. All of them getting gas. All of them getting gas, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And where's it coming from? Where's it coming from, Mr. Deputy Speaker? It's coming from my constituents that are buying bread and bologna. It's coming from people that make up the middle class in the Bahamas who only think of a budget these days as something they were taught and told they should follow. If your expenses go up and your income doesn't change, your savings go down. So not only have they created a golden egg off the backs of Bahamians, causing us to pay more in value-added tax on our BPL bills, but they are diminishing the middle class. They are diminishing the savings accounts. They are increasing the opportunities for those lenders that lend at exorbitant rates, Mr. Deputy Speaker. They are, Mr. Deputy Speaker, they are creating an even greater divide, Mr. Deputy Speaker. They're creating an even greater divide in our Commonwealth. While revenue is rebounding, Mr. Deputy Speaker, while revenue is rebounding, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Bahamian people are not. So,
Fuel charge resulted
now,
increase in the electricity bill.
Mr. Deputy Speaker,
Can't run from that.
they can't run from the fact that they are negatively impacting Bahamian households.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, the increase in the fuel charge is a direct result of their failure to act in the interests of Bahamians in a timely manner and commit to the hedge of the BPL fuel supply. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's also my understanding that there isn't even an item in the budget that speaks to where the money has come from to loan to BPL to pay down those bills. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in addition to the tax attack that I've just gone through on breadbasket items and our VAT on our BPL bills that has doubled, we have a tax on our roads, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Bailu Hill Road, Mr. Deputy Speaker, has a massive pothole. Bailu is a rugby team that I used to play for. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, the depth of that hole, has caused one person on social media today to comment that this must be the hidden passage to the lost city of Atlantis. It's not joking, Mr. Deputy Speaker. You hit one of those holes, you're blowing your tire, you're potentially popping out of it, running into oncoming traffic. Mr. Deputy Speaker, nothing good comes of neglect of our roads. I was recently down in Salt Pond, Long Island for the Long Island Regatta, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I've not been to every one of our southern islands recently, but I would be comfortable in betting that Long Island has the worst roads in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. As you head from Salt Pond north, as they say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, down north, the road goes from old paving that is full of potholes to just quarry fill that is full of potholes. It goes back to old paving that is full of potholes. Then it goes to new asphalt that for maybe a minute is paved on both sides, and then it kicks into just one lane. Then you go back to Quarry Road, and it's full of holes again, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I mean, there's so many holes that the only thing that I can keep thinking of to describe it is that the roads of Long Island have chicken pox. The blemishes, the holes are all over the place. You know, if those potholes weren't there, if those potholes weren't there, Mr. Deputy Speaker, you would say these roads are good, but they're still risky because there isn't lighting everywhere, and these cat eyes that someone said are going onto somebody's road today. Is it a Luthro? Somebody's constituency is getting cat eyes put on the road so that you can at least see the outer boundary and the interior divide line. Those could at least go to Long Island. I don't know if those stick to Quarry Fill, but there's sections in the Dean's area south of the airport that could use a lot of those cat eyes. Last year, there was a serious traffic fatality accident on Long Island. 3 young men lost their lives. Lost their lives. If there's something in the budget that can be done for Long Island, do it. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we also have, Mr. Deputy Speaker, issues under my shadow portfolio, the Ministry of Works and Utilities. Now, Clay is somewhat a friend of mine. Now, the gentleman for Central and South of Luther is somewhat of a friend of mine. And I feel bad for him. I feel bad for him because he's told us of the things he has to boast about in his ministries and in his constituency. But he is stuck in a constituency right now that has been plagued with disruption to its water supply. I'm going to read a few of these notices from Water and Sewage in my remaining time. June 3rd, Customers in Roxanne and Tarpon Bay Eleuthera are advised that due to ongoing electrical repairs at the reverse osmosis plant, they will be experiencing low water pressure / no water this evening. Another one for South Eleuthera, June 7th, same month. Customers in Roxanne Eleuthera are advised that due to a major leak repair, their water and sewage supply will be interrupted for 2 hours today, June 7th. June 5th, the same month, another notice. Can you imagine living through notice after notice, disruption after disruption? It is bringing a good Bahamian man down, and there may be nothing that can save him, and it'll be unfair if the Ministry of Works doesn't address this issue for the constituents of Central and South Eleuthera once and for all.
Yes.
April 16th, Mr. Deputy Speaker, of New Day PLP 2023. Customers in Central Eleuthera are advised that due to a mechanical fault at the reverse osmosis plant, they will experience low water pressure, no water pressure throughout this evening, Sunday, April 26th. There was also notices for Harbor Island on March 23rd, March 18th, as well as March 16th for Central and South Eleuthera. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Central and South Eleuthera said that this summer I'm going to be cutting ribbons and cutting and cutting and cutting. Mr. Deputy Speaker, today is the 12th of June, and I'm going to pray for the people of Central and South Eleuthera, Mr. Deputy Speaker, because I was raised in a Presbyterian church, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and I pray from this day forward for the people of Central and South Eleuthera that the only thing that ever cuts in their constituency again will be ribbons. So help them God, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Bell. Thank you, Honourable Member. Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for West Grand Bahama and Bimini.
You are concluded. He didn't say anything to the minute. He didn't say anything to the Honourable Member.
Yeah, no. Listen. I recognize the Honourable Member for West Grand Bahama and Bimini. Your time is up.
Sensitive over water issues. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I have to get out of here so I can go and fix the water issues.
Boy. See what happens when you talk baloney? Mr. Deputy, I now move that the House suspends until tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Is there a seconder?
At that time, Freetown will have the floor.
It has been moved and seconded that the business of the House be suspended until 3 p.m. tomorrow. As many as are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The business of the House stands suspended until 3 p.m.
All right.
You can shut him down. You can shut him.